We're live. Hey, SIG admin group for McCall. As you can see on our screen, we have a group here today in preparation for the McCall conference. But down below, we have our special guest. First, we have our SIG director, Rachel Pelsa Brown. She is with us. And then he's in Florida right now, but everybody knows Mr. Hashtag Go Crickets, Joe Sanfilippo.
Hey guys, how we doing?
And then our good friend from the Jackson area, Ben Gilpin.
Howdy, everybody.
So they are here. We have some questions in preparation for the McCall conference as part of our SIG Admin Connect. So let these guys go around and introduce themselves and tell us a little about themselves. Go ahead.
Benny, why don't you go?
Okay. Hey, everybody. Ben Gilpin, elementary principal in Spring Arbor at Warner Elementary in the Western School District. I've been on the SIG admin board before and been to McCall several different times. I am excited for this upcoming McCall experience. It's at Cobo, I believe, and sometimes, every other year it rotates back to Grand Rapids. But just one thing about me that most of you probably don't know, today I have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old. We've got 6-7 inches of snow, and they haven't shoveled 1 inch. So it's all on me. It's all on me, people.
What? That's ridiculous. Get them out there. What's going on?
You're up, Sanfilippo.
All right, man. So my name is Joe Sanfilippo. I'm the superintendent in the Fall Creek School District, home of the Fall Creek Crickets. And I am really excited to come back to McCall. I had such a wonderful experience there last year, just being part of the whole process, and just incredible people, and just the learning opportunities are fantastic. So I'm looking forward to being part of that again this year, and hopefully we can connect. I think that's the biggest part about going to these conferences, is be able to get into a spot where you can connect and have a great conversation with somebody that's like-minded, and having another opportunity to just grow as an individual.
I am Rachel Foster-Brown, and I am the SIG admin director for McCall, and I am also an elementary principal similar to Ben, but I am in West Michigan, and we have, I think, about 10 inches of snow on the ground right now, and I have spent 2 hours in my driveway for this, but I did have my girls out there attempting to help me, so I've got that going for me today. So Joe talked a little bit about connecting at McCall, which I think is probably one of the most powerful things for an administrator to kind of take away from their McCall experiences, when they are able to connect with others. So you shared a little bit that you both have previous experience at McCall. Can you just tell us one of your best memories from your past experience at McCall, or if not best memory, your best takeaway that really has impacted you as an educational leader?
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in real quick. I'm actually going to cheat again, and I'm going to take two. So sorry about that. But the first one, as an administrator, I love the luncheon that has been offered in years past. I know last year we had Eric Scheninger there to do the luncheon, and that was a fantastic experience. And that was for essentially administrators only. And I thought that was a great opportunity to really face-to-face connect with the other administrators throughout Michigan and in the local area. The second one, years ago, I had a classroom teacher that put in a proposal, and she actually got to present for the first time ever at McCall. And to watch her present was one of the coolest things ever. So I've looked at it from the administrative lens in twofold. One, as a proud principal of someone leading a presentation in session, and the second one as a learner myself. So that's what McCall can bring. What do you got, Joe?
Well, I think that for me, it was just like the enormity of the space, because when I was walking in to just kind of take a look at when I got a chance to keynote there, I walked into the room and I think my jaw dropped. Like, how in the world are there this many people in Michigan, right? And they're all here, right? But so that was really just like an awe experience for me. But that wasn't nearly as awe-inspiring as having connections with people, after the event, and just the way that people were genuinely invested in their work. I mean, and to be brutally honest, it was so real. Like, it was so real that they just wanted to talk about some of the things that they were doing and how impactful they've been for kids. And I always tell people, like, if the only time that we ever talk is, when you see the bald guy tell the jokes, like, then we're totally missing the point of this. It's just got to be the start of a conversation. So I just think that the connections that you make, and I still have them, a year later, we're still having conversations that started that day.
That's cool.
And I think with that whole connected piece, I mean, Rachel and I've known each other through Twitter for years, until I think it was the Detroit conference a couple of years ago, where Rachel come and tapped me on the shoulder. She's like, Jason Gribble. I'm like, Rachel. And it was just those types of connections that we've had, connections outside of the conference, but having that opportunity to be face to face and then having that connection is huge with this opportunity to bring so many educators together for this conference.
Yeah, I would agree with Grib. I feel like social media has opened the door to help me make connections with people. But when you have an opportunity like McCall, where you can be face to face and really sit down and have a conversation, you can go so much deeper. And I feel like I learned so much more. On Twitter, I can find good resources, or I have like a great, like, oh yeah, that is a good idea. But when I'm face to face with people at a conference like McCall, I can sit down and I can really dig in and say, hey, how did you make that work? And take the time to really process it and see how it worked in their environment, and then what I could take away. So I just say I agree with you guys. It's just nice to have that authentic experience and take away and be able to continue those connections, because it's not just the 3-day experience. It's something that you can continue as you go throughout your year and learn and grow from.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So what are some things that you see educational leaders could benefit from going to a conference or going to an opportunity like this to get professional development? So what are some what do you think some benefits are with that?
Well, I'll jump in real quick. And, one thing that I would say, Jason, is it's critical for instructional leaders, principals, superintendents to have a strong grasp of what actually is going on in the classrooms. And the majority of sessions that are at McCall are going to be led by teachers. And to see what's going on in the classrooms and be able to take that back to your staff, to be able to connect in that way, to me, that has always been crucial. Beyond that, though, you're also modeling it. You're modeling that continuing your learning is essential. So I would say those would be the two big takeaways for me when I look to go to a conference, or whether it's McCall or another one. I always want to be able to model that way, but I also want to be able to go right back to my staff and be able to say, this is what I'm learning, and these are some great takeaways.
Yeah, man, I don't know, Benny. I think that's the right answer. I honestly, I could make up a bunch of other stuff, but it's really about, if you have the opportunity to model that for your group, you're going to create a tremendous amount of social capital with them, and that's how you help people to move forward. But I guess the only thing that I would add would be that you get a chance to, the connections that you make. See, so here's the thing that doesn't bother me, but a lot of times we surface a lot of stuff. Like, you go and you say, oh, well, I saw this person using this tool, but then you never use it. It seems like a cool tool, but then you never do anything with it. And I think McCall gives you the opportunity to not only try to, get into a session, but the sessions are very hands-on in terms of the work. So you can actually dive in and do the work right there. Because a lot of times what happens with administrators in particular is they get all this really great information, and then they go back to their office, and when they get back to their office, 5 people are at the door, and somebody's got a bloody nose, and somebody stole somebody else's Snickers bar, and you can't really do anything about it. So you got to be, if you don't have time to actually do it, then you're not going to, and that's what this gives you the opportunity to do.
Yep.
Yeah. What would you guys say? So the biggest, when I'm talking to people, the biggest thing that I get from building level administrators is, how do I leave my building? Like, I can't leave my building. And I know that, a few things that I say to say how to problem solve and how to support that. But I'm wondering, from your guys' perspective, how do you help encourage that? Because it's usually those people who need to get out of their building the most, because they really need that lifeline of other administrators.
Yep. So, okay. And I've heard that for years too, Rachel. So I completely understand where you're coming from. The conversation I've had on the side with a few people has simply been, someone saw in you leadership qualities and pushed you to be a leader maybe when you didn't even see them in yourself, is there something that you can do at the building level? Do you see a teacher leader? Do you see somebody that you can then give them some control, some ability to take some leadership while you go continue your learning? Because I guarantee almost every single administrator has people on staff that are just itching for a chance to kind of show their stuff. And I don't think most principals take that opportunity and really let people lead as much as they should.
Yeah, that's the second time. I've never agreed with Benny twice in a row. I've known him for like 6 years.
And it's recorded. You have proof.
I don't know. But I guess the only thing to add on to that is that, and I don't mean to slam anybody, but like if you leave your building and it doesn't function, then that's a reflection on the leadership capacity that you've built. So, and I think a lot of it happens because we're afraid of what's going to happen. If we leave at the same time, you're not getting any better doing that, and you're not making anybody else any better. Because if they're dependent on you to have the building run, then that's not the leadership. That's not true leadership.
Yep.
Well, and I think the one thing that we need to touch base on too is, as we talked about, is the importance of the growth. But you can't just work in that silo. You got to make sure you're coming back and you have to share that. That was one of my prerequisites for any staff member that goes to a state conference or out-of-state conferences. Just to give you a heads up, if you're going to this conference, next staff meeting is yours. I'm not going to say a word. I'm going to put you up front, and you need to be able to share some of that stuff. And I'll even give you release time to go. If a teacher says, hey, I'm really excited about learning more about this. Hey, you're the expert in that area now. Let's continue to grow and share across the educational leader. Like Ben was saying, you're going to go in there, you're going to learn from other teachers, but now you can go in there and support those teachers and say, you know what? I'm willing to support you in taking a risk on trying something new. And that's what I always loved about the McCall conferences. You're going into different rooms of people that aren't afraid to take risks, that want to try something new, to use the word innovative. Yes, I did air quotes. Support those people in doing those types of challenges and creating different learning experiences for all of our kids. So I think it's important as educational leaders that we understand that we are there to support those kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
Truth.
So go ahead. Sorry. So what we kind of want to wrap up with is just to share that the McCall SIG admin group is going to have a workshop on Wednesday afternoon. They consider it a pre-conference. It's March 20th on Wednesday. And then immediately following, we will have a happy hour that's going to be hosted by Discovery Ed to continue those conversations and have that connecting. And then the next day on Thursday, there'll be the keynote and then that admin luncheon that Ben was sharing about. And gosh, I can't remember who is our speaker for the admin luncheon. Greg, do you have an idea?
He's lame. He's lame. He's totally lame.
I'm not sure. I think he's in Florida right now, which I'm sure I was going to say, you know what? You're at a conference right now. What is your first takeaway so far from your conference in Florida? But I don't know who is our speaker for that.
I'll be there, boys and girl. I'll be there. I can't wait.
Now, are you bringing your own ping pong paddle?
Is there a ping pong tournament?
No, but there might be a cornhole tournament.
Oh, well, ping pong. I'll beat everybody in ping pong. That's not a problem. I'll beat everybody. Benny thinks he's good at it. He's not. So
wait a minute. Is this Joe or is this Brad? Who do we have here?
That's right. Whatever it takes. Now, I think the thing that we're gonna talk about during that time is the idea that we're all in this thing together, and if we don't lean on each other, we feel really isolated. You're the only person in your building with your job. That in and of itself is an isolating situation. So how can we grow our capacity to lead, with each other? Well, I mean, obviously, because we'll talk about, the telling your school story and things, but it's really more about how can we grow our own capacity to lead and be intentional about the work that we do, open doors for our crew, and make sure that we're building each other up and building our staff up in the right capacity.
So I would just, if people can't make it to McCall to see Joe, I would encourage them to follow him on Twitter. And he has his own page there. He does these amazing 1-minute conversations on his walk to school, which I know a lot of other educators find very inspirational and just great 1-minute takeaways. So I would encourage that. And I know that Ben does a fabulous podcast. Ben, you want to share quickly about your podcast and blog that is a great resource for other educators as well?
Sure. Okay, so the first one, so especially from Michigan educators, you can check out the MEMSPA podcast, which is the Community of Principals podcast. We're in season 2 on there. Feel free to check that out. It is on iTunes as well. Community of Principals podcast. The other one with Brad Gustafson is Unearthed, and we would love for you to check out Unearthed and leave your stake in the ground. And then the last one is the website. It's benjamingilpin.com. So, those would be the main things. I guarantee there's somebody out there listening to this that has somebody in their district or somebody that you're connected to that is not actually registered and following SIG admin. Nudge them, push them, pull them, whatever it takes, get them connected with SIG admin and McCall.
And Joe, any last minute shares from you? Are you presenting down in Florida?
Yeah, I just got done. It was fun. We had a good day. It was we were just talking about the impact of creating a culture of yes and how we can change the way that people talk about schools. And so yeah, it was good. We had I always have fun getting in front of people and having the conversation, because if you can take one thing away, that's really all there is to it. And we just try to change too much stuff, and it gets to be all bogged down. So just take one thing away, get a little bit better, be better tomorrow than you were today, and we're going to be just fine. But I'm jacked up. I can't wait to come. I just had such a wonderful experience with everybody there last year that I couldn't, when I talked to Mark about it, like I couldn't jump on it fast enough and just say, let's go, let's do it. It's just going to be a really good day.
So I'm guessing that your backpack's a little bit lighter from this morning when you first walked into that conference today?
Yeah, it might be a little bit, but it's getting kind of heavy. I guess, I realized that I only walked literally like a minute to work. But I've walked all over this place. In fact, while I've got you guys here, is it wrong if I think I'm going to buy one of these?
I'm still waiting for your daughter.
I'm going to buy one.
I'm still waiting for your daughter to run up behind you and push you down or say something over her photobomb you be over your shoulder.
No, I don't take her anywhere. She thinks, am I famous or just internet famous? So we're not doing that anymore. You're staying home, go to school.
Hey,
you gotta go to school.
Hey, so San Filippo, is there a sign on one of those buggies over there for Dr. Jeff Zoll?
No? I don't know. I think there might be. They say rental. That's all they say. So I guess no. But I'm thinking about it. I mean, it's like, yeah. There's a pretty good chance I'll be scooting around in one of these scoot-arounds here pretty quick. I might buy one. Say, put a Go Crickets on it. Because I'll tell you, if it gets any colder in Fall Creek, Wisconsin, there's no more 1-minute walk to work, people. I'm not joking. That is a drive. I'm driving. Without question, I'm driving. It's too far.
It could be a 30-second jog.
Yeah, is it? Like, God, I pulled a hammy in '97, Ben. Haven't run since. I got a hangnail too.
Well, you guys have anything else you want to share real quick before we sign off?
I can't wait to see you guys. It's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Thanks, Joe, and thank you so much, Ben. Thank you guys for taking time out of your busy days, even with the weather and at a conference and everything. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Grib.
Yep.
Have a good day. Thanks for having
me. Everybody make sure that you get on the McCall website, go into the group area, and sign up to join SIG admin. Again, we're going to see you in March, and you're going to see all 4 of us there. You can't miss us. We're all going to be around doing something and being a part of this wonderful conference that we have. So, and there goes Joe. He's on getting on one of those things. So, with that, we're going to
buy this thing.
He's probably going to pull out a sticker and throw a sticker on it real quick. So
that's right. I got to kill it straight. It's not. I don't know if I can make this a district purchase.
With that, we are going to sign off.